All right, gentlemen, we are live. Sean, great to have you on board as always. Joe, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
What's going on in the new? Oh,
Bitcoin was over 19. That was something I noticed. Of course, we got the Gemini, Genesis, other five shoes dropped about 12 hours ago. And some like pending Binance indictment allegedly is being talked about. But, other than that, I mean, things look good.
all right. Well, Sean will be interested to hear about the Binance indictment. I'm sure.
Well, no, it's market chatter, dude. There's nothing in the news about it. But
Okay.
I know he's got to warn his buddy there, probably, right?
They're old friends.
I'll give
Yeah.
him a call afterward. I mean, look, it's going to happen. I mean, every other exchange that has ever done what Binance has done has. I think it's just a question of can they just write a check and get away with it? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
I think that's again, I'm not in the Binance insolvency camp. I think it's irresponsible of them not to do it properly. But I'm not here saying that you should take your money off. But they haven't given they haven't given anybody any reason to trust them on proof of reserves, proof of liabilities. I personally don't see that as a liability as a problem. Not financial advice, trust me. I don't have. I think I have about $10 on Binance. Um, and actually, now I think about it, I must withdraw that. I could buy a beer with it.
There you
Um,
go.
but I do think they're going to have problems with the U.S. Authorities,
Yeah.
and we'll see how that goes. I mean, I heard
Yeah.
you guys. I mean, there are still black swans out there, both
Mm.
within the crypto world and without.
Mm.
But if you specifically look within the crypto world, I mean, we do have um, uh, uh, um, Genesis, DCG, Grayscale. I mean, Grayscale are
Yeah.
holding 650k Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, and again, I'm not saying that anything is going to happen, but I'm just saying that clearly you can see there's all kinds of things happening there over the Gemini Yearn, and that the DCG group itself is potentially insolvent,
Mhm.
and they're sitting on 650k Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So just something to keep in mind. Again, if something happens to Binance, that would be a big shock to the system. We still have the Mt. Gox coins to be released. There's still a lot of stuff out there. I mean, other things that are unseen. I mean, I traded for a lot of these degen funds over the past few years, and of seven of them, six of them went bankrupt. Okay,
Damn.
not due to my trading. I just want to emphasize.
Next up, Sean tells you how to trade.
Although now I was never trading enough of their money to be able to do that. But fuck it, that's my ambition next cycle. These things are still washing out. We get the high profile stuff, so I still think there's some kind of internal systemic stuff. Obviously, we have macro risk still. Again, we're just back to the market playing chicken with the Fed. It's
Yeah.
exactly what's happening. So
Yeah.
we'll see. I mean, I'm kind of it's a nice little move by the Bulls that we've had for the past week and a half. But we're just hitting our first test now, so we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, we're sitting at what 19,121 right now. That's interesting.
Yeah, Ethereum is stalling and Bitcoin moving. I'm not sure it's a positive sign. I think Ethereum is kind of flat for the day, and or it was when
It's
I
true.
last checked, and
Yep.
Bitcoin's up a point and a half, and they're both. All I would say to people on this is that like it's a nice move. Like it's it looks parabolic, but we haven't taken any levels of interest. So when you look at a move like this, you kind of have to pull back and go, has price really taken any levels that are difficult to take, or is this just a reflective bounce?
Yeah.
And we're literally, in and around this price range, the 19 and a half, 20K is where we're actually just hitting first resistance. So
Okay.
if the bulls are going to prove themselves, they need to push beyond this. And so, I would just say to anybody who's long, just be a little bit careful here, because I think
Yep.
I think this is the first test of this rally that we have. So we'll see.
Yeah,
Not financial advice, yeah.
Of
no,
course,
not
yeah.
financial advice. I don't have any confidence in it getting over the hump, but we'll see what
Yeah,
happens.
I don't either, to be
I mean,
honest.
if we take 23, I'll definitely have to consider that the bottom's in. That's my own personal level, where I'm going, look, if 23 gets taken here, then I might be more than happy to call the bottom is in. But there's a long way between here and 23. There's a hell of a lot of technical resistance. We're kind of at bear div. Weekly has switched from bull div into potential bear div, potential hidden bear div. So all of a sudden, things. But it is an impressive move. Don't get me wrong.
Right? No, absolutely.
But well, you can see it in your chart there. If you look to the left of the chart, yeah, this is the first test. So you see all of that line you've got drawn, all of the point where we bounced along that support line before we broke down. All that we're going up and doing here is testing that. So I'll be impressed. If the bulls can take this, then maybe this has a bit more legs. But this is my point about looking at the charts and going, this is the only test that this rally has had to face so far. So if you're going to remain bullish, you want to see this price level taken, and then you can look up at the next resistance and the next resistance and the next resistance.
Sure. No, it makes total sense. And this one looks like, I mean, of everything that's up ahead, this one looks pretty damn strong.
Yeah, this is, you can see how long that held price to the left-hand side. And so a retest here, it would never be unexpected. That said, we've developed quite a bit of momentum into testing this. So I kind of am beginning to get interested here in maybe a few shorts personally, because I'm very much short resistance, long support type of a guy.
Awesome. Love it. All right. Well, we got the market opinions out of the way up front. Let's get in. Oh wait, we had some comments.
Hey.
Eamon said maybe Grayscale is holding 650,000 BTC, or did they loan it all to 3AC?
well, I mean, it's a US regulated fund. You can actually check online. You can see their 650, and I think I showed you the chart before where, when you look at the bull run, it correlated identically with the time that Grayscale were buying, and it stopped at exactly the time that Grayscale stopped buying.
There you go.
When you see these kind of insane bull runs, people can talk about market center and all of that, but for that kind of, like, it was a massive bull run, basically from 3,000 up to 70K. Yeah, I mean, that's some run. But that I think was, you got the headlines of Tesla and a few other, but primarily it was Grayscale. We're just constantly buying, driving the price up, and as soon as that stopped, the market wobbled and so on. Yeah, they do have 650K minus 2% a year, which is their fees.
Okay. Well, there you go. That 2% paid him some nice money.
So Sean, quick question about Grayscale. No, that's cool. We know they're always in that constantly trying to get approval for the an ETF. Yep. And when that happens, I guess that takes that differential between, I guess, the discount rate on the BTC or versus the Grayscale shares, which is about 40+% right now, somewhere around there.
Yep.
If that approval happened now for some reason, then that's what I'm kind of getting at. What would be the net effect of buying and selling at that moment in the market? Would it? I mean, you said hyper bullish, so I'm pretty sure it's going to be good. But could you just walk me through what those mechanics are roughly?
Well, I think the impact of a spot ETF in the US market could never be overstated, because it takes away so much risk of the government ever being able to ban Bitcoin as an asset.
Yeah.
In other words, this is this is real institutional trader engagements. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, whether the price goes up or down at that point, I don't, in that week or the week after, I don't know. But you know, Shizzy, when you say it's priced in, you can't price in the potential flood of 650k Bitcoin onto the market.
Yeah, I agree.
You know, that's, and when DCG, who are the parent company, are effectively insolvent, and their biggest asset is Grayscale, and a lot of the shareholders, remember, are sitting at a 40% discount. So if there was a mechanism, if they got approval, so I don't think they're going to get approval to be a spot ETF in this crypto environment, specifically with the parent company effectively being insolvent. I think that's just hopium.
Yeah, they're off the table.
But if I was a shareholder in Grayscale, I can pick up that 40-50% premium if I'm allowed to pull my assets out in Bitcoin, which is currently not allowed.
Right.
So I think, again, I'm not saying this will happen, but what I am trying to say is that you know, there's two sets of black swans to watch for here. If you think that, you know, that there's the stuff that is entirely internal to our own little world, and again, Grayscale and, you know, Gemini and, you know, Binance and all these other things that will have an impact on us and the rest of the world couldn't give a shit about. But the rest of the world will have an impact on us if something happens, if there's some kind of a black one from macro lands. We ain't avoiding it.
Yeah,
so
makes sense.
You know, that's my only point. And so I was only picking up on kind of, I watched the show. I didn't watch it live, but I watched your show yesterday and going, there's still a lot of risk out there, and I would be keeping a very close eye on Gemini, TCG, and so on, and seeing, because like that's a fuck ton of coin that could get dumped if anything.
Absolutely.
Happened. Yeah.
Peter Lee asks, welcome, Peter, by the way. Thank you for joining us. Sir XPT 3K, what's you think could we revisit 17.7K to 18.3K zone, like testing the December high?
Okay, so again, not financial advice. I am nearly always wrong on my calls. Okay, so I'm just gonna say that out there. Okay, I mean, I don't think you can seriously consider the market has bottomed until we've tested 13.8. So whatever is going on here, it's kind of, you know, technically we're pumping into a weekly death cross. Always happens every weekly death cross. You get a pump towards it. As I said, we're just hitting our first test. But my view remains the same. The first possible bottom, that doesn't mean it is the bottom. For me, the first time where I will think that we may have bottomed will be 13.8. That doesn't mean I'll be closing shorts at 13.8. It means I will be thinking about closing shorts at 13.8. Yeah. And if we take 23, I'll definitely be looking at the market and going, have I got this wrong? So 23, I may be beginning to go, yeah, that was the bottom. I think that's highly improbable, just my personal opinion. I still don't think we get out of here without testing 13.8. At least, maybe lower.
All right.
So I'm not bullish on the market. I think this is a classic bear market rally.
Eamon says they, I guess, Grayscale never disclosed the addresses holding it. They refuse to.
You can go on to CryptoQuant and actually check the live holdings.
Nice. Very nice. Very nice. All right. So for the topic today, we have a topic today. And
cool.
Especially for you, Brad.
I know. And I discovered that somebody created a uniform specifically for you to wear for this show today. So I'm going to play a quick video clip because we're getting this made up for you. So hold on. Here we go. Let me get this set up. Hold on a second. And they're calling it the Ethereum Slayer outfit. So here we go. Let me get this played for you.
Is it a onesie? Oh.
This Warrior of Light costume symbolizes Ukraine's fight for freedom. The Warrior of Light protects her country.
The wings are key.
Like Archangel Michael, who is a guardian of soldiers and considered to be the patron of Kyiv, the capital city. This Warrior of Light will help in their fight.
I'm sorry we couldn't get it to you before the show, Sean, but it's on its way.
I'd be wearing it right now, yeah.
So Sean and I have had several discussions in the Material Indicators chat over the years about Ethereum, and Shizzy says it's Archangel Michael Saylor. We don't necessarily agree on all this stuff, but I always love hearing his reasoning behind it. So Sean, you said today that you wanted to talk about why Bitcoiners really, really, really hate Ethereum, or as you phrased it, scam Ethereum, which is always a great way to start off this conversation. So I'm going to let you just run with it and give us the thesis.
I mean, it's actually, this is I can explain my views in 5 minutes because it's really not complicated. Yeah.
You need to go 30.
Oh yeah, but like then
hold on, I'm going to mute and take a nap real quick, okay?
Dude, then you're going to get something, and I'm going to go, here's why you're wrong, Brad. Okay, so we can drag that. And
there you go.
At some point, I'm going to go, Brad, it's okay to be wrong, buddy.
There you go. Right. All right, good. I'm prepared.
I see. Wow. Okay. Now I see some consistent pattern here.
Well, I already feel like any discussion with Sean, I've brought a knife to a gunfight. So I'm not too concerned. So go ahead.
So like the fundamental point of any criticism of a chain like Ethereum or a project like Ethereum or whatever you want to call it is to highlight what it's not, okay? And you might be quite comfortable with what it's not and go, look, that's okay for my fucking profile picture, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. But what it's not is permissionless and trustless, okay? And the reason that it's not that is because it's a entirely controlled asset. And let me give you the thesis behind this before you go back to 2014 when Ethereum was launched, yeah? Okay. The pre-mine pre-sale involved the issue of 72 million Ethereum. Mm-hmm. Okay. There's 120 million Ethereum in circulation today. Okay. So from the very beginning, this was insider controlled. Okay. That's not debatable. If I could share a screen here, Brad.
Yeah, buddy, go ahead.
Because like the reason I want to go through all of this is that when you're looking at a new project, the signs of scamminess are always there. Okay. And my point about Ethereum is that from the very beginning, it was clear that this is not trustless, it's not permissionless, it's not immutable, it's of no interest whatsoever. Now that doesn't mean it isn't a grand platform for certain things, yeah, or it isn't even a desirable platform for certain things, but it's certainly not what they claim in the tin, because everybody always focuses on this word decentralized without kind of getting, why decentralized? Decentralized, so trustless and permissionless, yeah.
Right.
I mean, that's the only reason. Otherwise, why decentralize anything? So anyway, when you go back to
let's real quick, Sean. I think it's obvious to everyone, but maybe we could define what your expectations is for the criteria for permissionless and trustless.
So permissionless simply means that anybody with an internet connection has access to the system. Yeah.
Right.
It is permissionless. Yeah.
Right.
I don't need the permission of my bank. I don't need the permission of my government. I don't need the permission of anybody to utilize the functions of the chain, of the specific chain. Yeah.
Got it.
Okay. And like we all want that. Yeah. We all want the kid in Ohio and the kid in Aleppo to have equal access. Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. So that's what I mean by permissionless. Yeah.
Got it. We lost sound, Sean.
Brad, hello.
You're coming back. It's a little crackly. Nope. You're quiet now.
You need to get a better antenna for that super yacht, buddy.
I'm actually just setting up. Hang on a minute. I'm just setting up setting up. Yeah. How about now?
Yeah, you're good.
Perfect.
Okay. So I'm setting up a laptop to go on my travels. That's why I'm on this bloody thing.
Gotcha.
So when we say trustless, it simply means that there's no humans involved. Yeah, that again, the code is law principle, and that when I make a transaction, I don't have to trust anybody. I trust mathematics. I trust the network. I trust this. It's not like, when I wire $100 to you guys in Florida, which I've never done, but if I did via the banking system, I have to trust the banking system, the intermediaries, the people, the bloody. When I make a transaction on Bitcoin, I trust the chain. The chain has no, so these are two kind of really important things. We go back again to immutability. Okay, again, really important, because immutability says nobody gets to go change history. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. So nobody can re-engineer, take the balance sheet of the bank and go, hang on, the Bernie Madoff play, screw all of that. Let's just go back and change the numbers because that's the way we like it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So again, immutability, absolutely key. And censorship resistance and all that stuff, are kind of, important, but it's the trustless, permissionless, and immutable that really count.
Got it.
And a key component of what delivers these functions is decentralization. This is why we're always out in CT arguing decentralization. But what we mean in Bitcoin by decentralization is fundamentally different than what you mean in shitcoin land. Okay. But by which I mean it's decentralization of everything. Okay. Anybody involved. Okay. The chain, where it's done, no single points of failure. So if, for example, a project is funded by a VC and the team are all sitting in an office somewhere or spread around the world, and there's a legal entity and lawyers, their technology can be as decentralized as they want, but it isn't decentralized because somebody can go, no, hang on, we don't want to process the Iranian transactions, go change the system. So decentralization is only partially technological. It's got to sweep through everything. And if you get that, then you can deliver trustless, permissionless, censorship resistant, and so on and so on and so on, immutability. Okay, because if you don't, while the technology may be decentralized today, there's no reason that a group of people can't go off and change it, which has happened. Yeah,
right.
And will always happen. So these things are fundamental to Bitcoin because of what Bitcoin is, which is hard money. Right. Yeah, and my point about Ethereum is that Ethereum has pivoted so many times, I don't know what the current fucking narrative is. Yeah. Okay. But I genuinely don't. I mean, I invested back near the ICO I know it was the World Computer or Bitcoin 2, and then it was the ICO platform, and then it was this, then it's that, and ultrasound money, and I haven't a fucking clue whatsoever. It's just pivot after pivot after pivot.
Okay, I got to interrupt real quick. We got to interrupt real quick. I don't think there's anyone at the Ethereum Foundation saying, okay, here's the narrative of the month. That is the crypto Twitter narrative around Ethereum that you're hearing, right? They're not.
Well, I'm pretty sure Bitcoin 2.0 was straight out of Vitalik's mouth.
That I could see from the beginning. At the beginning, yes, I can see that from the beginning. But I don't think anybody now.
World's Computer was straight out of Vitalik's mouth.
I do agree that was part of the original foundational
I'm not sure who
documents
came up with ultrasound money, but it was either Lubin or Vitalik. I don't really follow them.
Right. But what I'm saying is there's no official messaging around here's the narrative for Ethereum currently, right?
But there has been.
I'm saying at the beginning there was. Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Straight from the horse's mouth.
Yes, totally agree with Vitalik having said that at the beginning. Absolutely agree with that.
I'm going to say that every bad thing that's happened to Ethereum since inception in 2014 to today and will continue to happen is a direct result of what happened when they launched it, when they did an ICO. Okay. So again, 72 million Ethereum pre-coin pre-sale. 72 million out of 120 fucking million. Okay, that is controlled from day one.
Okay? Sure.
And always has been. So when you go through the history of Ethereum, whatever about the narrative changes, I could go into, some of the stuff about Vitalik. I don't need to. I just go, you start with something that is insider controlled completely. Yeah. 60+% insider controlled completely. Okay. And every single thing that happened from that day to today has been for the exclusive benefit of that 60%. Okay. At the cost of.
I wouldn't use the word exclusive, but I understand what you're saying.
Well, let's go with the DAO hack. Okay. So the DAO hack, for people who don't know, this wasn't the DAO. The DAO was actually a VC fund. Okay, where it was kind of one of the first ICOs where they said, look, we will raise Ethereum and then we'll decide where to go. They raised 120, 130,000, or millions of dollars worth of Ethereum. There was a bug in the code, and some of that Ethereum was taken due to bad code. Okay, that wasn't the first time that it happened on Ethereum. It wasn't the last time it was happened on Ethereum. The reason that Ethereum acted was because of whose money it was, which was these magic 60% to 62%, the 72 million Ethereum. There were hacks before. They just went, whatever. There were hacks after, what was it? Polkadot was a massive one, bigger, and Ethereum just gave them the finger, and Polkadot went, well, hang on a minute. Like, if you're prepared to roll back the chain for these people, what about us? Well, guess the news. You're not the insiders. Yeah. So, again, there's nothing that I'm saying here that is not factual, Brad. And what I'm saying is that every action, you look at how they treated miners.
We're getting mic noise again, Sean. Oh, now you're okay. Now you're okay.
I have to fix all of this before I get on the road.
Yeah.
So sorry about that.
You're good.
Look at the way they treated miners. Okay, miners who were a key part of the consensus mechanism, a key part of Ethereum for years. Whenever there was a failure, okay, it wasn't the pre-mined Ethereum holders that got to suffer. It was the miners. It was the workers. It was people who they were always the people taking the haircut. We're reducing the block reward. Okay, when you look at staking, again, another significant step. You control 60+% of the supply. You control it. Yeah, everything that has happened is designed for insiders. Okay, and so I go. These are facts, by the way. There's nothing here that I'm stating that is not factual.
I think the assumption that the motivation is just for the 60% insiders is not a factual part of the record. Everything else you said is factual.
Why would they?
It's an inference.
Why would they roll back the chain for the DAO hack and not for Polkadot?
I wasn't a part of that discussion, and it very well may have been at that time that they wanted to roll it back because it was a significant amount of all of Ethereum.
Polkadot was more. Polkadot was 500,000.
I don't know the reasoning behind it, but I don't necessarily think that certainly the people, the 60% you're talking about, had a motivating factor in deciding it. But I don't believe that the inference that everything they do is just for those 60% is necessarily the case. I believe that there are good people working on Ethereum who want it to survive and do well and serve users and serve its mission. And coding decisions and structural decisions and decisions about the protocol, about the chain, are made in the best interest of the chain. I'm just saying that I think inferring,
and I would say that is disproven by historical facts. Okay, and that's not to say that some things don't benefit all users, but no action, nothing that's ever happened on chain has ever happened, first of all, to damage the people who control 60% of it. Secondly, things have happened on chain to damage the rest of the community. And thirdly, the very fact that you're saying I trust these people gets back to my first point: trustless.
Yeah, what I'm saying is,
I
is
don't
that
want to trust them. I don't want to trust these people who control it.
For me, it's not about actually trusting the people that control it. For me, it's about trusting the ecosystem of people that are working on it. And some of those have controlling quantities of tokens that help them be part of that 60%.
Okay,
and some don't. So
okay, but again, this is one of the big criticisms I've always had of DeFi, not of DeFi itself, yeah. But and I've said this 100 times, and I'm going to say it again. When you build your applications on sand, okay, and the sand is Ethereum, okay, that doesn't make you, your ambitions ignoble or anything like that. Just what it does mean is that you built your thing on sand, and if you believe that if the US government applies pressure to the Ethereum Foundation and Consensus and all these people, and they want to boot your app off the chain, they will.
Yes.
This is the point I'm saying, is that
I understand that argument.
You can have these guys building these wonderful DeFi apps, and they're going, look, we're on the path to decentralization. And I go, you can never be on the path to decentralization if you're running on this type of chain. It's just, you can get kicked off at any point at any time because it may not serve the interests of the pre-miners.
Technically, the government would have loved for Tornado Cash to have been kicked off, and it can't be kicked off. So
no, it can be kicked off. Absolutely, it could be kicked off. It hasn't been yet.
Well, right. And I would assume the pressure would have been, that's pretty extreme level of pressure with a developer in jail and blocking transactions and putting it on a list. I would think that the attorneys at the foundation would say, holy shit, we're in trouble.
Let me ask you the question a different way. So, we can all wait for something to happen, but we can game out if it's even possible. Yeah. Do you believe that a dApp can be thrown off the Ethereum blockchain by the Ethereum blockchain?
I believe that technically it is possible.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
And then who makes that decision?
The stakers of the chain.
Okay. And I'd say the stakers of the chain go back 10 years ago, exactly the same people who have done everything to protect themselves. And so this is why I go that when you look at this, you always have to look at the history of where it's come from. I have nothing against people who are honestly developing on Ethereum to do some good. I just go, you going around and saying we're decentralized, in your own right. Let's say you do get something to be decentralized, yeah. Mm-hmm. You still operate on the whim of the Ethereum Foundation and the 60% pre-mine.
Right.
And do I want to live in a world where Vitalik and Joe Lubin have that much power? No, of course I don't.
Well, look, again, I don't think it's completely concentrated in their hands. And
is there any suggestion Vitalik's ever made that hasn't happened?
No, I don't know. I don't know. I think Vitalik's written a lot of things that haven't happened. I mean, ideas and thoughts and concepts, but I have no idea what happens in the inner workings of the development groups that are building for it. My point is this, though. The fact is that this can become more decentralized over time.
No, everything, Brad, again, this is where, people say this, it gets more decentralized when they go back to proof of work and close down the Ethereum Foundation. That is when it is no longer
well, no, not if that wouldn't be decentralized. If proof of work might help it be more decentralized.
Yeah, but they need to get rid of the
legal
Ethereum
pressure
Foundation.
Can be put on miners as well, right? I mean, we know that Chinese miners can be shut down when it's banned in China.
Some Chinese miners shut down. To this day, there are still miners.
I believe it. I believe there are those trying to circumvent it. Yeah, but my point is that government pressure can be placed to impact
but again, like
Bitcoin.
again, this is classic Ethereum. Let's compare it to Bitcoin. I'm going, no, let's just look at it. So what I'm saying is that it can never be decentralized, because the move to proof of stake and the implementation of number go up technology associated with it is entirely at the benefit, 100% at the benefit of the pre-miners, because now they get to control way more than they did under proof of work.
I understand your point. I totally get that point, that currently there is centralized control among those 60%. And if they decided to collaborate, to take action against ADAP or against the chain, they could potentially do that. I understand that. I think the likelihood of that happening is pretty slim. And I don't think there is a conspiracy to protect the original 60%. And I do believe that over time, that just 60% can be further distributed.
DAO hack.
I get the DAO hack. I understand your point on the DAO hack.
I could get into the argument of immutability of the chain. I'm not even discussing that. Put all of that aside and just go, the only reason that this hack, they decided to roll back the chain and rewrite history, was because of whose money it was, when this was happening all over the place.
Well, but what if
to smaller and larger extents, and those other things at the same fucking time, and they're going, oh no, screw you. Yeah. I mean, if that in any way, if there's any way that you can rationalize that other than whose money it was, I don't get it.
I was not part of those discussions. The things I've read about those discussions.
By the way, neither was I, mate.
The things that I've read about those discussions were that the discussions around the DAO hack were around saving Ethereum as a whole. But I wasn't there to verify that was the case. I haven't seen any discussions where the 60% were saying, save my fucking money. So but I can't speak to that.
The 60% made the decision. This is my whole point.
I get it. But that was, what year was that?
Oh, the hack was what, 2016, 2017?
Yeah. So, 6-7 years ago. I mean, that's ancient fucking history. I can go back to,
No, but let's wind it forward to last year and proof of stake and the move towards proof of stake, which literally benefits these people the most.
It benefits the people who stake. It benefits the people who decide to be validators. It benefits the people who decide to take part in liquid staking, and it benefits all of them equally.
The more money you have, the more money you make.
Of course, that's the way the world works.
And the point about this,
same with Bitcoin. When Bitcoin goes up,
no, it isn't.
The more Bitcoin.
I can have 15 million Bitcoin right now. Yeah,
right.
I don't get to set the fucking rules.
No, you do not get to set the rules. That's absolutely true. That is a distinct difference.
What I can do is affect the price.
Yes.
I can distort the price. Yeah.
And if you own enough mining capacity, you can help set the rules.
And here is the thing: the mining capacity is unlimited, and staking is limited to itself.
Yes, absolutely.
But anybody with $200 can go off and start mining. Okay, wow. You can buy little USB miners. It's still
but you're not. You're not like mining anything of substance.
You are. It's a nice
$200.
No, well, I mean, you're not going to earn $1 million off a $200 miner. Okay, let's just be clear about that.
Right.
Okay, but again, this idea that proof of stake is just the snake eating itself. Yeah, in order that there is no competition. There is no competition. Okay, except to push everybody out of the coins. Proof of work. Here's the funny thing about proof of work. Okay, the 5 biggest miners 5 years ago don't exist today. Okay, the 5 biggest miners in today will not exist in 5 years. It's a highly competitive, non-controlling, and again, I can own all the Bitcoin in the world, and it doesn't give me any special privileges. And the history of Ethereum is that, and again, you can dance around it all we want, man. The actual actions of Ethereum, which is what we have to judge it from, okay, over the last 9 years, so every significant action, okay, has been for the benefit of large stakeholders and to the detriment of others. Okay,
So
most notably the miners.
Yeah, the miners definitely were impacted by that. We've spent 20 minutes or so discussing the inference that the 60% are controlling the decisions that are being made by the Ethereum Foundation and developers. And I think we'll just have to agree to disagree that for me, that inference hasn't been proven. And I understand you thinking of it from an incentives perspective. I totally get it. But I definitely believe that over time, Ethereum become more decentralized. Eamon makes the point that you should never roll back a chain, and that's absolutely the case. Was it irresponsible to do it? Probably. Do I think personally their motivation was just to take care of the 60%? No. I think they, in a panic, were concerned about what was going to happen to the chain and what was going to happen to other people that had invested in the DAO hack, and they wanted to try to do what they thought at the time was the right thing.
But Brad, I have to stop you there because, Polkadot and the 10 other hacks of smaller or larger scale that were happening at the same time, okay, also involved Ethereans who lost money.
Sure.
And so you go, what was special about the DAO hack? Yeah, it wasn't the biggest amount of money. Okay. And in doing it, they lost 25% of the dev team, who turned around and went, "This is clearly fucking crazy." Yeah.
Yep.
And so on. So I don't think you can just gloss over and go, "I think they thought." Okay. I go, well, here we have 10 things that are happening effectively simultaneously, and you decide to take action on one and one alone. Okay. You have to ask why. That's all I'm saying.
I get it. I understand. All right.
Dude, look, Brad, as I always said to you, it's okay to be wrong, mate.
No, listen, I don't think I'm wrong, because I don't think we have proof of that inference. So from my perspective, I think my point is still valid. And from my perspective, I'm not, it's not my job to defend the Ethereum Foundation. And I'm never going to argue with you, as we have discussed multiple times, that Bitcoin is more decentralized than Ethereum.
But
it's too obvious.
This is not a conversation of Bitcoin versus Ethereum. This is
of course not
about Ethereum.
Well, but your perspective is completely a comparison, right? Your perspective is.
I think Bitcoin.
If somebody asked earlier,
I'd love to do a show where I go, here's 10 problems with Bitcoin. Okay. And I would be quite honest and open and go, here's the problem, here's the problem.
Of course.
What we're discussing today is Ethereum, and I'm saying that everything that happened, okay, you can trace back to a pre-mine and a pre-sale, okay? And you might call it circumstantial evidence, okay? But you should think about it. And just saying they must have thought, I'm going, well, no.
Well, I'm just going by the conversations I've read in books about what occurred. So that's what I'm going to tell you. But your perspective completely comes from the perspective of a Bitcoin maximalist, comparing it to what Bitcoin offers.
At the time, I wasn't a Bitcoin maximalist.
No, I get it at the time.
I was mining Ethereum. And even then I was going, what the fuck, yeah?
Shizzy asked, if Bitcoin didn't exist and if it was created as the first blockchain, would you opt into it over the current banking system?
Nope. It's exactly the same. So no, it completely. I might buy an NFT from my Twitter profile. Although, to be honest, if there was no Bitcoin, I wouldn't be on Twitter. So I don't know.
So you would prefer to be in the banking system over?
I'd be buying gold or silver or something.
Okay.
No, I mean, no. Is it like this is an absolute no. Okay. And again, it's not that I was, like most Bitcoiners, you have to engage deeply with the world of shitcoins before you understand the difference. Yeah. And I did. As I told you a couple of weeks ago, I mined them. I was a big Ethereum head. I did that. But so this is not coming from somebody who has always despised Ethereum. It's coming from somebody who was a supporter, a miner. I love the idea of the world's computer and, you know, all this kind of stuff. And then the longer you spend looking at it, the longer you spend looking at the decisions and how they're made, you go, whoa, hang on a minute here. Okay, none of this is benefiting anybody but the pre-miners. None of this is
not true. It benefits other people. That's not true.
Nothing. Okay, let me rephrase that. Nothing has ever been done to discommode the 60%, and lots of things have been done to discommode the other 40.
Okay, what other things have been done to harm the other 40?
Continual degrading of the block reward. Continual, yeah.
Yeah, okay. But they were told that was going to happen, right?
No. They were.
I mean, they knew the path this was on. The miners knew the game they were in. They knew that they were eventually eliminated, and they knew that Ethereum didn't want them anymore.
Again, this is a curious thing, yeah. Ethereum started 2014. It was a proof of work chain, yes.
Right.
There were discussions about it being proof of stake and timelines, and every time there was a failure to deliver proof of stake, the miners got slashed.
Right. And then they stayed.
So they were told. They were told, okay, like you said, we don't want you. You're not part of our community. Just your words, not mine. Yeah.
Right. No, I think that's the message that was sent. I totally agree with you. And
so actions are taken to discommode those people. They're mining, their holders, and so on. Yeah.
Of course, but my point
and I'm saying no action has ever been taken that has ever discommoded the 60%. Ever. In fact, all significant actions have been in their favor. Sometimes.
Okay, like but here's the thing: if you're an Ethereum miner and you stay in the game, even after you've been told over and over and over again you are going to be eliminated eventually, you know that's business, buddy. And on the other side of it,
but why not, for the good of the chain, go off to the 60% and going, we're going to slash your holdings because you.
But why? But there's no reason to slash the 60% holdings, because then you have to slash the people who are non-miners holdings that aren't part of the 60%. I mean, what do you get for that? What do you get for that as a community?
A fairer distribution, a more balanced chain.
So what you're suggesting is that what the Ethereum Foundation should have done to prove to
no what I'm suggesting is
that they should go and slash and distribute the wealth of the 60% to everybody else.
No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, from Foundation, okay, it could never be anything other than what it is, and it can never get away from that, ever.
I just don't agree. There's the dilution of ownership is always a possibility of the tokens.
The move to proof of stake is the ultimate cementing of the Cantillon effect. Yeah, it's going. I've 60% of the, we have maybe they 50% or 40% left. I don't know. Okay, we know that Vitalik, shared. Very graciously 25% of his bag with the retails at the top. Nice guy. But the point I'm trying to make is that the move to proof of stake cements, where you have such an imbalance in holdings, it cements it forever. Game over, dead, done. And these guys have been controlling this chain since 2009. Since 2014. Sorry. Right?
Well, okay, so the control that they've exerted.
Hey, Joe, help me out here, bud.
The control that they.
I'm just enjoying it. I'm just kicking back. Usually, I'm in the argument.
You don't need it. You don't need any fucking help. Well, who are you kidding? Give me a break.
I know.
No, I mean, I will weigh in 1 second, Brad. Is it? I think the word decentralization, the definition of it, has obviously changed over time. And I think anyone that sees, originally it was, remember proof of work versus proof of stake. Everybody was like, hey, only the proof of work are decentralized. So, and then it kind of, in DeFi, it's gotten another definition, which is more about, where it starts, protocols and stuff start behaving more like, say, proof of worky type stuff, and we're trying to get there, but we're not. It's more about governance, I think, at this point when we say, decentralization and DeFi. So I think that I think that it's a transition there somewhere, and I think not talking about the underpinnings of Ethereum, but I'm just talking about the definition. And so when I hear it, I'm not always thinking proof of work versus proof of stake. I'm kind of more thinking what's happening in the protocol. But I think anybody who really has been around BTC since the beginning, I think the foundational framework is going to be, anything that's not proof of work is not decentralized. Okay,
can I just say that, Joe? I mean,
please.
Ethereum was proof of work and still wasn't decentralized. This narrative that people believe decentralization or centralization is just a technological issue is not the point. It's from head to toe. Okay, so if there are people who are in control of a decentralized technological application, which I think you could argue back in the day Ethereum was technologically decentralized, it still didn't stop centralized power making decisions.
Right. Because of the control of the voting shares, basically, 60% of the.
Yes.
Yeah, and human nature is that you will vote to preserve that. So I don't know what people were thinking. Yeah. Absolutely, yeah. I don't know what people were thinking or inferring or any of that, but I think common sense is that if you hold 60%, you're going to protect that stake. Which is maybe that's what the DAOs and stuff that we're aspiring toward to try to alleviate that. I'm not sure.
One of your arguments that you just made, Sean, I'm going to give in to you because it does make sense as I think about it. And that is that moving to proof of stake means that the 60% don't necessarily have a reason to sell, in my mind, from that because they're earning more all the time. So it's like when you accumulate wealth, you get to that point where your money is earning enough money for you that you don't have to sell what you have. I definitely can see the validity of that argument. And it does make a lot of sense. I'm not willing to infer that that's the reason they moved to proof of stake. I think there were a lot of other motivations for it, but I do see that point, and I do cede that point to you that makes it much less likely for the dilution of those holdings to happen because it's a no-brainer earn of more of the Ethereum that they have. So totally agree with that. Let's do this real quick. I want to catch up on comments because I want you to be able to get back to your entire thesis and your scam thesis. Because I think in the concept of calling it a scam is oriented towards those 60%. So
that's it. As
okay.
I go through specifics and immutability. My point is actually very simple. From inception, I want to show one chart of what happens during the fundraising, where if you believe it was free, fair, and honest, you believe in mathematical improbabilities of the highest possible level.
Okay.
So let's see. Can I share?
Yeah.
Share.
Present.
Present. I got it, man. Sorry. Share screen. It's window. Hang on, dude. Let me just.
The other thing.
Sorry, Joe.
Please.
Pick a window.
Share. Okay. And there we go. So this has been researched and beaten up and down around crypto over the years. Okay. But this is the inflow of funds into the Ethereum ICO. Okay. And any form of shape that you see like this, you can almost immediately just assume that it's not natural. Yeah. Okay. So there's a huge amount of analysis and comparisons out there to, like, the statistical improbability of this happening is crazy. Yeah. So and you can compare it to how other things get funded. You can compare it to other things and just see. So what you see, even, and again, I come back to it, even the way the initial 72 million ETH were distributed is Bernie Madoff like. It's just let's just create a curve and share it out. Simple. I mean, again, you may think I'm inferring something from that. I'm saying this is statistically significant about
But what's
this
the
happened.
meaning behind it? Tell me what your meaning behind it is.
What the meaning behind it is that this was all divvied up, okay, and that this was an entirely and utterly controlled process that had very few outsiders because of the nature of how it was actually funded. Okay, the funding comes in a perfect S shape. Okay, absolutely perfect. If you look at the statistical variation in the funding coming in, it's laughable. I mean, this is completely controlled. This is not something open, free, and fair to the public.
So you're saying that the initial sale was loaded up with the initial investors or whomever was getting distributions, team, investors, whatever.
And it's cooked.
And it's cooked because it was to give them first access.
Yeah, it gave them 72 current, at the time 72 millionaires in a current supply of 120 million.
So you're saying that it was not a free and open ICO process, and that everybody had equal access to it. I would not even have assumed that, frankly. I wouldn't assume any project would ever do that.
Well, strange enough, you can look at other ICOs and you can see that most were free and fair. You can look at any GoFundMe page. You look at any form of
right, because they don't count in the pre-sale to the investors and the distributions to the team in that chart.
No, this is the ICO.
Right, the actual open sale.
Yeah.
Right. So what you're saying is they loaded in the team into the open sale instead of doing it in advance.
The team got 12 million Ethereum and they put 60 million into this process here that's entirely cooked. So my point is that when you look at this stuff,
how many wallets hold the 60%?
There's so many, and again, you can take. I'll send you on this article for anybody that's interested, and if you get a Telegram group ever, guys, I'll post.
Send me the link so I can put it in the show notes.
Yeah, is that it is. You can compare it to other fundraisers, Tezos, Cakes, whatever you think of these things. You can see that it's so improbable that the money would flow in like this as to be a massive red flag from day one. Okay, you can go through after the fundraising finished, okay, to the point where Vitalik is on video, and again, I can share that with you, okay, where he clearly states, look, we've raised the money, but we don't think it will ever work. Yeah, maybe that's something he should have said before we raised the money. Yeah. It
did work.
I don't even know what work means. Okay.
Well, I mean, it's working now. Billions of dollars going through it constantly. People building on it.
Dollars. $59 billion went through Madoff. Yeah. I mean, was that working?
Yeah. But you don't have the Ethereum 60% skimming off of dApps that are getting deployed onto the platform. To try to characterize this as a Madoff level Ponzi is a bit much.
No, it's slightly more sophisticated. Won't last as long, to be
but
fair.
It's not,
I mean,
because
Madoff,
it's not
Madoff
even
at it for 30 years.
But it's not, because it's not even the same thing. It's not a. It's
when
not a
you
Ponzi.
say they don't charge dApps, you mean there's no gas fees?
Of course, there's gas fees, like on all chains.
They are charging.
But there are no. What I'm saying to you is, this is not to say that it was that kind of a scam. Doesn't even fit.
The scam is very simple. When you call something it isn't, and you advertise it that way, in my mind, that's a scam. When you say this is decentralized and permissionless and trustless, and it is none of the above, objective fact, okay, then it's a scam. You're selling something.
So you're saying that all of the people that bought into the ICO that are not whales did not expect for large concentrations of Ethereum to get into people's hands. They expected this pretty little smooth distribution to everybody, even though historically humans have never done that.
Well, again, you can compare it to ICOs from others, and you can compare it to the amount, the 60+%.
Right, but ICOs are always every ICO has been loaded up with people that control the majority of the tokens. And it'll be a small number, just like Ethereum, just like a stock sale, just like every other public financial instrument.
What percentage of ownership, Brad? What percentage of control over decision making?
Well,
I don't care if we set up, Brad and Joe chain, and we ICO the fucker, and there's 10 million, and we go off and we have control of, we end up with 9 million, but we have no control over any decisions. That's okay. Yeah,
sure. I get it. I totally get the argument. Totally get the argument. But that is not the case for any publicly traded company, nor a majority of the ICOs that happened since 2017. Again, I come
back to the very beginning and going, publicly traded company is not what we're talking
about. But that is what I'm talking about.
Permissionless, trustless, immutable, censorship resistant.
The reason I brought up the point is your inference that somehow the scam was that everyone expected who was buying into the ICO that there was going to be this pretty even distribution amongst all the humans that wanted to buy in Ethereum. And anybody that expected that is naive.
I didn't say that. You said that. You said
no,
this
but
is what you think.
But you're
actually say that.
But what I
said is there is a lie at the heart of it. Okay, a fundamental lie at the heart of it. For something, and the lie is what you publicly state about it, which is simply not true.
But what was publicly stated that was the lie?
It's decentralized. It's not. Never has been. Never will be.
Okay.
But how can it be decentralized? You have a fucking foundation. You have lawyers. You have an office.
Of course.
60%.
Of course. And you're telling me that Vitalik said it was going to be decentralized from day one?
No, dude. Are you telling me that Ethereum isn't decentralized?
I am saying that it's more decentralized today than it was from day one.
And I would say it's
really
objectively less decentralized because of proof of stake. And it wasn't decentralized much to start with.
Okay.
So first of all, the reason I'm reacting to you, did you expect? I didn't say that. I said that there is something incredibly statistically abnormal about how the funds came in. Okay, and that you need to factor in because the 60% of coin ownership who controlled it from day one have never acted against their own interests, have specifically acted only in their interests.
Of course they would.
Evidence, and that's Fiat 2.0. That's nothing. That is neither permissionless, trustless, or immutable.
I get your point on that.
And that's
but that wasn't the discussion we were having at the time. The discussion we were having at the time was
you put words into my mouth.
No,
you were going, you expected there not to be a large stack. I went, I don't care who has a large stack. I care what influence
I didn't. No, I'm not talking about the words I put in your mouth. I'm talking about what you were inferring from the way the sale was handled. And my point is that you thought that the public expected something differently.
No,
I don't think the public...
That.
Okay, that's what you inferred with what you were saying, because you said that it was a lie.
I said compare it to any other ICO.
Yes, and they all are stacked. It's just was stacked before they went to the ICO. They all were. They were all stacked, and they were all a small number of people that had a majority control. All of them. There wasn't one that was ever fair.
I'll send you the links, because this analysis has been done again and again.
I can't wait to see the ICO where there was not a concentration of tokens.
Here's the great thing. And to be honest, I'm surprised Ethereum haven't just gone and modified the history of the chain on this, because it's so fucking embarrassing to them. And maybe they will one day.
Listen, I don't know how the fuck I end up in the defender of Ethereum role. It's fun. I'll give you that, but
somebody has to do.
It's not even like
consider it like the Nuremberg trials. Yeah. And we've got the Gestapo guys. Somebody has to be their public defender. That's you.
Yeah. It's like the communist. It's like the commie hearings here in the United States. You must be a communist. All right. We've had a ton of comments, so get ready, Sean.
I'm ready. I'm ready, dude.
All right. So, Eamon said, but we should be building the economy of top of BTC, like using root stock or Sovereign did, rather than on Ethereum.
Well, I 100% agree with that.
Yep.
Awesome. Chuck says the reason Ethereum world isn't decentralized, proper Sean definition, is more a factor of lazy developers than technical impossibility. True decentralization is hard. Most don't do it.
Yeah, I mean, there are arguments there, as Chuck is way more capable than me to discuss, that it isn't technically decentralized. But I'm going, decentralization is a bigger game than just whether the tech is. Okay, because the purpose of decentralization, again, trustless, permissionless, immutable, effectively means that nobody gets to fuck with it without a real consensus mechanism. And when you have an organization like the Ethereum Foundation or any of the other centrally, VC funded coins, okay, by definition, a pressure can be applied. So even if the tech is decentralized, to do something about it. That's my fundamental point. So this argument about decentralization has a purpose, the above, but decentralization is not just technological. You need to be technologically decentralized, which I think Ethereum was doing a decent job of under proof of work, but that doesn't make it decentralized, because the decision-making power and so on and so on is centralized.
Let me ask you a question. If Ethereum had not moved to proof of stake, let's call it something else, Sean Chain. If Sean Chain had launched as Ethereum with the technical underlying that it had and the proof of work, and the distribution was just a massive fucking airdrop. There was no ICO. There was no sale. It was just an airdrop. Or maybe it was a sale that was perfectly distributed. Either way, everybody could be limited in some way in how much they got, whatever. Would that be a superior chain because of smart contracts than Bitcoin?
No. Again, what's the purpose of the chain? Okay, so if the purpose of the chain is to be hard money, then having on-chain smart contracts, in my opinion, is a risk way too far. Okay, you do all this stuff outside of the chain. Okay, what attracted me to Ethereum at the beginning was the technical ambition. The world's computer. Yeah, I kind of did fall in love with it, and I kind of went, oh yeah, that would be so cool if we could, we had this decentralized platform where we can go off and develop shit and so on and so on, and I fell out of love with it when the reality bit, yeah. Of
Did you fall in love with it before or after the DAO hack?
Oh yeah, right after the DAO hack, yeah. I actually turned into a big supporter of ETC because I was very much on that side of it, and then I looked at ETC and said they actually have the same structural problems, which is it's still, even though the technology is more decentralized, and it's still human decisions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so you can argue, again, it's this point about being decentralized is so much bigger than just technological decentralization. Who gets to make the decisions gets to decide what to do.
Yep, absolutely.
And on Chuck, yeah, I mean, it's about control. You can't have decentralization with central control. I mean, it doesn't make any sense whatsoever, technologically, human-wise, or fundamentally.
I get the point, but if I gave into that point, then this would have been a boring as fuck show.
Dude, I'm just waiting for the bit at the end of this where you go, yeah, maybe I am wrong, mate.
I'm having to argue a point that I don't give a shit about is the problem.
And you want to know, that's what frustrates me about all of this fucking crypto space. I'm in the middle of a war with one project over this, about where they even went so far as writing a Substack going, the Web3 shouldn't be decentralized. I'll get to them next week.
What?
Yeah, dude, I'll get to them next week. Okay.
What
This is a little like back in the day when we didn't like a project, it was easy. We'd 51% attack it and kill the motherfucker. Now you have to take different actions, which sure. I'm doing.
Niblett said at some point every token was insider control. That's why we know the name Satoshi, but how and how quickly that control is relinquished is what matters. No?
Well, no, yeah, but I agree. Of course, everything starts centralized because it's 2, 3, 1 guys. Yeah, the
Because
point I'm making is,
there was bugs on Bitcoin printing tokens
but
there for a
no,
bit.
like you know,
Had to do some work to fix that.
well, yeah, they rolled back the
Human
chain.
beings, yeah, they had to roll it
They
back.
rolled back the chain
Yeah.
because of the inflation bug.
I've
So
resisted
again,
saying that because you don't want me to compare it to
but they
Bitcoin, but
no, but like I'm quite happy to come on and tell you all the faults of Bitcoin, but
okay.
that's not the purpose of today. Yeah. So Niblets on that. I mean, sure, okay, absolutely, but again, fundamental point is what's the direction of travel, and that direction of travel is set at the beginning. Okay, and I've often said it. The reason Bitcoin is decentralized may have more to do with blind luck than anything. Yeah. Okay.
It works.
It is what it is today.
Yeah.
And there is nothing about the direction of Ethereum that suggests anything other than further centralization. And I'm not talking technologically, I'm talking what really matters, which is control.
I'm still going to fight the urge to become a maxi. So no matter how much you win.
There's nothing wrong with my point in this, and again, I'm not trying to grow new maxis. I mean, there are maybe use cases for some of this stuff, as long as you understand what it is, and when what it actually is doesn't impact or maybe supports your business case. That's
Right.
cool. That's
Right.
cool. But going off and saying we're running decentralized applications on something that is highly controlled and centralized is where I go, come on. Seriously? That's where there's I keep saying it, not everything in the world needs to be decentralized.
Yeah, I get it. And so, but your point on the concept of the world computer and smart contracts is that they're unnecessary. You just want them sufficiently distributed, the functionality that empowers transactions like that, and you want the chain to be just about the transfer of money.
I think you can, again, objective facts that every smart contract chain, okay, has been hacked. Yeah, significantly.
Well, except the ones that started yesterday, maybe.
Okay, anything operating over a year, okay, has been hacked. So there is substantially more risk in that.
Sure.
The fundamental premise of something like Bitcoin is hard money. So the incremental risk, the risk is parabolic, yeah, to the monetary system if you start implementing that on chain. Okay, so no, I don't support. And I also think it's not necessary. You can do all of this crap on a side chain, yeah.
Yeah, so I get that. I get that argument. I totally. To some extent, I agree with that point of view. And I think there are other ways to do this as well. But I also am thankful that more shit gets built, more chains get launched, more competition comes out, more concepts are tested, because I think the further we push the concepts of computing on chain, the further along we get to a decentralized functioning system that can do these things. Now, what that ends up looking like...
And Brad, I agree with you. Okay. However, okay, when everybody gets, not everybody, but most people get so defensive about objective fact. So in other words, if somebody said to me, look, we're going to launch a proof of stake system that's decentralized and here's how we're going to do it, I'd go, oh, cool, let's look at that, yeah? Okay, but when you're arguing over simple factual statements about centralized control and what decentralization is and so on and so on and so on, then there is no productive discussion because everybody just goes, me too on Ethereum. If it's good enough for Ethereum, it's good enough for us. So,
Sure.
Why is it important to attack Ethereum is because it's a roadmap down a road that is a disaster for financial inclusiveness.
Yeah, I disagree with that justification that Maxis used for attacking it. I think the reason most Maxis, I'm not saying that I think the reason most Maxis attack it is they don't want the competition. And the ones I've engaged, the ones I've engaged with on Twitter make that very clear. Because most of them are not smart enough to have the same argument that you're capable of having.
Most maxis aren't even on fucking Twitter, for God's sake. Yeah, it's not in the nature. It's not in the nature of the beast. Yeah. So
again, they're not the toxic maxis then that we deal with, right? You're a different breed of maximalists.
When you guys come to McDade's, I'll introduce you to some toxic maxis who don't even have Twitter accounts. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Okay. So again, lensing the world through crypto Twitter is also slightly obscure.
Well, I mean, it could be stack articles, it could be Medium articles. It doesn't matter. At the end of the day, the incentive for a Bitcoin holder is to have nothing else competing with it, and that to me, I infer that a lot of the motivation is about maximizing gains for the Bitcoin they hold.
Ethereum isn't competition for Bitcoin. This is again one of these preposterous propositions. Yeah, Ethereum is for running smart contracts,
and Ethereum is absolutely competition for the money that gets put into either Ethereum or Bitcoin.
Again, dude, it's not competition. It's kind of going like AWS is competition for gold. It's not. No. Oh, yeah. Some people might put their money into AWS instead of gold, dude. These are not it's not competition. It's not this ultrasound money bullshit narrative that came out. Okay,
I'm not talking about it being sound money. I'm not making that argument. I'm saying the more money that goes into other chains means money that's not going to Bitcoin.
In that lens, Dow Chemical, if they're still around, is competition to Bitcoin, because the more money that goes into Dow Chemical isn't going into Bitcoin.
In the realm, and it's not, because the incentive for people that want to play in the crypto space and put their money into things on chain.
And now I'm going to go maxi on you. There's Bitcoin and there's crypto.
I totally get it. But you're never going to change my mind that a large number of the people who are toxic maxis, part at least of their motivation is maximizing the value of the Bitcoin they hold, and less the concern about people being harmed and scammed.
I know a lot of OG maxis. In fact, I'm going off for an OG maxi meetup in the UK in the next couple of weeks. Okay, and I would say that most of them couldn't give a fuck about price. Okay, I can genuinely say that. Yeah. Okay, and that the reason to attack the shit coins is a moral imperative, and you may laugh at this, that when people come into the space, and I'm in with my taxi driver going, should I buy Doge or Ethereum or Bitcoin? And they think they're the same, and they're just not. So
I get it, and I don't have any doubt that that's your point of view.
That's nothing to do with me getting my taxi driver's £100 into Bitcoin to pump my own bags.
I don't think you do that.
It's me going to the taxi driver, dude. Do you really want to lose your money? Just buy Bitcoin and shut up, mate.
Yeah. So I think there are plenty of folks just like you that don't have that motivation. I don't think that's not what I'm addressing. What I'm addressing is the people who are very publicly on Twitter or elsewhere, labeling themselves as Bitcoin maxis, calling anything else a scam. No, I shouldn't say that. A large number of them have a motivation that's different than yours, and their motivation is financial and their own personal incentives rather than moral imperative.
And everybody's motivation is ultimately selfish. Yeah,
of course, okay. For everything we do.
For everything we do, but this, if we take out the funding, where the money goes, okay, because that's I'd argue one way or the other on that. Okay, I'm going, the technology of Ethereum and whatever it is not a competition to Bitcoin.
I get your point. Totally.
That's my fundamental. That's when I say
I totally get your point, and I don't expect you to defend the assholes. I'm just telling you that my interactions with the assholes.
Dude, there's assholes about it. I mean,
of course, absolutely.
I've
had the same discussion with Ethereum maximalists who are idiots.
I don't think I've ever watched Bankless without throwing up at least 3 times.
Of course,
during a show,
I've gotten into fights with those two assholes. about their Ethereum maximalism bullshit, right? So
I mean, there's assholes who are also I think we agree. Like, there's assholes in every walk of life.
Absolutely,
okay?
absolutely.
And so, you know, and again, we've got to be careful of the lens we look through this stuff at.
Okay, let's get some comments. Justin says, with respect to the pre-mine, I have trouble understanding why we'd expect someone to not act in their own self-interest. Isn't that just given? And I don't think you were arguing against that.
No, I'm arguing that their self-interest was so pervasive that has affected everything in Ethereum from day one.
Got it. Eamon says, so is CZ halting the chain for random hacks better than the DAO hack, only benefiting the core devs?
I mean, I shared it on Twitter to my 10 followers. I'll be 9 followers after this, maybe even. Good fucking buy, the lot of you. Okay, I'm joking. You know, they restart the Binance Beacon chain every 24 hours. Yeah, and they rewrite the history. Like, that's publicly available information. Yeah.
There you go. Anybody that's ever argued that BNB chain is decentralized is a fucking idiot. Chuck said Sean's point is that ETH could be controlled. Well, I think we already did this one. Justin says
I think on that is again the reason that people like me, Bitcoiners like me, are so sensitive to what might happen, even if it seems extreme, is because of what we're trying to do, which is take away control from governments.
Yeah, I get it. Separating state from money.
So we understand that, and Ethereum should be separating dApps from control. So
sure.
This idea, you know, it's the turkey idea. You know, every day is great for 1,000 days. The turkeys live, and then all of a sudden, one day it's Thanksgiving. Yeah, and things are different. So you know, again, when you consider now, if you're just doing pretty pictures and NFTs, it doesn't matter a shit. Yeah, the government isn't going to come after you. But if you're trying to take control away, whether that's dApps or money, you have to design the way that your ecosystem and technology works for the attacks that they will launch against you. Remember, there's 160, 180 governments out there who have the potential to do this.
Absolutely. Get it. Totally get it, buddy. Let's see. What else? What was the next one? We have the difference, in my opinion, Justin, is CZ is trying to stop funds from all hacks and has said that openly, that anyone can contact Binance, even an individual, and they will attempt to freeze those funds. Chuck, I think we already covered this, but you've said in the past, I think the thing that got closest to you was Monero. Am I not mistaken? Yep. Question for Sean, is there another non-BTC, non-ETH chain that does satisfy the trustless, decentralized requirements? But it doesn't get there.
Kind of like Litecoin, strange, you know. I mean, in a way, projects like Litecoin and Monero, you can always argue that Fluffy Pony himself had too much control, although I think he's facing some jail time at the moment.
Yeah, isn't he in jail right now?
I think he is, yeah. And but again, the love for Monero was more to do with a brilliant testbed for, you know, Bitcoin's biggest problem, privacy, yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, Monero and ZEC and all of that were excellent testbeds for privacy. And again, you know, quite happy to come on next week, the week out, whenever suits you guys, and discuss all the problems with Bitcoin, because I'm not just critical of Ethereum, I'm highly critical of Ethereum and everything else, but that doesn't mean that I'm just going, you know, and Bitcoin came down from heaven and we all bowed. Okay,
that's good. So we would never expect you to be that way. That's not your personality, definitely.
Yeah, Chuck, probably. I mean, strange enough, things like Litecoin and Monero and so on.
Okay. Peter Lisi says, if Ethereum is a Ponzi, then the US dollar is more Ponzi than Ethereum.
They're the same to me.
Yeah, I knew that was the answer. And I'm not going to give Joe's ego another stroke. Justin, in my opinion, like Seferdine said, fundamental difference between Bitcoin and other chains is Bitcoin isn't made to enrich its creator. The rest are ETH included. That's a valid, I have no problem with that argument, that it was meant to. We don't know
Yeah, I mean, the thing on that,
we can't know for sure, but
we don't know for sure. But you can look at the design and the conversations and go, and the way it was launched, and going, if Satoshi was trying to have an unfair advantage, he could have launched it in a different way. And again, part of me just thinks that it's just blind luck that he died or whatever happened to him.
yeah,
That enabled Bitcoin to become so decentralized as it is. And maybe,
because
maybe something like this needs some luck to get there. Yeah.
Yeah, well, because the first in got the bulk, right? I mean, got the initial chunk. So obviously, had he stayed around, he would have been a threat to decentralization.
Yeah, I 100% agree. So I don't know if he's some kind of anomaly that he didn't protect his interests, because he certainly didn't, or if he just died,
Or he's just waiting.
Craig, right?
No, but at this, at this stage, it doesn't matter. I mean, if Satoshi comes back, he'll be a disappointment. And if he dumps his million coins, he affects price. So what, yeah?
Yeah, gotcha. Justin, Western economies are a Ponzi. That's why we're doing QE with immigration, because we can't do fiscal QE due to inflation. Peter Lee said this is how venture capitalists work. So this shady things with Genesis, Ethereum, ECO is not actually shady. Vitalik also said this is Justin again. Vitalik also said he could argue that possession of child porn does not impact others. So maybe we shouldn't listen to everything he says. I remember something around that, but I don't remember what that quote was.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of interesting things about Vitalik again. And we all make mistakes. That referred to a tweet that Vitalik did and deleted, and obviously it's out there, where he said that I believe, and you can Google it and find it, it's not a secret, that he believed that holding child pornography shouldn't be a crime, which is not something.
Was that in the theory of a greater argument of some kind, or was he just opining on child porn?
No, I'm not saying that.
Doesn't seem like he's quite that dumb.
No, I don't think Vitalik is. I think it was probably he was debating with somebody and posted and deleted it. But again, I think more interesting in Vitalik's history is the fact that before Ethereum, he went off and raised money for a quantum computer project that was clearly bullshit. So
do you think he thought it was bullshit when he raised it? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I mean, Vitalik is a smart kid, yeah. And I think that as a smart kid, you would have to go back then that building a quantum computer is somewhat suspect. Again, look, people make mistakes. I'm not, that's the reason I'm not, again, it's the personalities that are a big part of the problem here, yeah.
Sure.
We make heroes and villains of them, and normally they're heroes and they're villains. And the point about it is that if this is properly run, they don't fucking matter, because they have no control, no impact, whatever. I don't care if Satoshi was Pablo Escobar personally. Yeah, makes no difference to me. Bitcoin is what it is. He contributed to it. Thank you, mate.
I think Chuck's done with us. Joe, you're too fast. We have to actually read what people say.
Well, they're talking to each other in a chat. That's the other thing you'll see at the very last one.
Shizzy said, gloves fucking off. Love this. That was from earlier. You guys are just arguing for the sake of it. This is Chuck. ETH has potential risks inherent in its structure. Just leave it at that. Sean doesn't seem to want the possibility of that risk. Brad doesn't mind it. Chuck wants us just to make nice, but that doesn't make for good show.
No. Chuck, on that, I'm just my fundamental reason that for saying this is that most people just think that Ethereum is something it's not because of what Ethereum says. Right. Yeah. Okay, and and there's nothing wrong with people I'll have this debate. Like next time, Brad, you defend Bitcoin and I will show you all the problems. Yeah.
How about we just let you show us the problems? I know how to defend it.
In everything in this, you need to have a critical mind. Okay.
Of course.
And I've rested on Bitcoin because I've gone through all of this and went, like, clearly the rest of these are when I'm generous, they're interesting experiments, and when I'm not, I use other terms. Okay.
Yeah, I think you go through different states of mind about this, because sometimes you're vicious and sometimes you're like, it's a nice experiment.
Yeah, that's when I'm in good form. Yeah, I'm being generous. Yeah. You know, I actually think they're just scams. Okay, like that's to be clear.
I know,
Okay,
I know, I know.
and just because they misrepresent themselves. Yeah, if I go and buy a chocolate bar in the shop and it says the world's best chocolate bar, and I get it home and it's broccoli, I go, what the fuck? Yeah, that's how I see this stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and I think I think this is an important point. Okay, your representation on the word scam, right? Whether it's Ethereum or all other projects, like you're basically saying that anything else is basically a scam, because they are not true to the definition of the terms decentralized.
No. I say because they misrepresent themselves.
Right. But so what I'm saying is that if they come out and say they're decentralized, you're saying they're misrepresenting themselves, and so therefore they are a scam. But inherent in that comment is that you think their intent is to scam. I mean, that's what people hear.
Can I ask you to, if you wouldn't mind, go to the Solana website, the homepage.
To where?
Solana website. I know you know Solana.com or whatever.
Please.
No,
Why
seriously,
are you doing this to me?
because this is a case in point. Okay, I hope they haven't changed in the last 3 months. Maybe they'll take it down.
Hold on. I'm loading.
Brad was hanging out down at Solana store in Wynwood the other day. I heard.
I was.
Okay, so if you scroll down there, yeah, and
Decentralized.
Yeah.
Is that what you want?
Yeah. I think it actually says permissionless, decentralized, blah blah blah. Yeah, like that's just not true. Yeah. Now, if they said, look, we are on a path towards decentralized instead of saying decentralized, permissionless, blah 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 blah, I would have some respect for them. But we all know Solana isn't decentralized.
Correct.
Yeah. The very term DeFi. So you know, this is the point I'm making. I'm going, look, there's places in the world for Ethereum and Solana. Okay, what there isn't is places in the world for lying about what you are and where you are. Okay, and to me, if somebody sells me broccoli instead of chocolate, they're a fucking scammer.
Yes, I get the point, I think that the reason people in other worlds get their back up about the use of the word scam is the inferred intent of the word meaning to try to steal other people's money, and that's kind of what we associate with the definition of that word. And so when the word scam is used, I think the inference of intent to steal is probably why most people object to the categorization.
And again, to go back to the way I look at it, if you sell me broccoli instead of chocolate,
I totally get it. I get it. I get your definition of scam.
And that's what every one of these chains is doing.
I get it. I totally get your
selling
point.
me broccoli and not chocolate. Yeah?
I totally get your
by the
point.
way, I love that from Chuck. I am stealing this. Eth has a birth defect. Thank you.
That's good. That's good. Chuck said, I agree the people are the issue. Point is that ETH has a birth defect. Their tech flaw happened at inception.
And their structural flaw and all the other stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. There you go. And it was a conversation. Justin was having a private conversation with Chuck in the chat. He said, let's do all the flaws of BTC next week. I think that's our topic next week.
I'd love to, because again, you know, as I always say about Bitcoin, you know, if it was perfect, they wouldn't still be developing it. It's far from perfect. There's lots of issues with it. Yeah? Some issues being addressed and some being ignored. So I don't want this to be always Bitcoin versus Ethereum. Next week, I'll just go, look, here's the 10 things about Bitcoin that are problematic and that need to be addressed. And again, if you're investing in it, you know, you need to be critical about this stuff. Yeah.
Sure.
And so, you know, I'm not, you know, Bitcoin is not the second coming. Yeah. It's simply, again, in my opinion, the only one that has any true value in what it's doing. I think things like, I love the idea of smart contract chains if they're decentralized, permissionless, trustless, and immutable. And I'm saying Ethereum provably isn't that, and therefore, and yet it captures the mind share by, again, fraud. You know, they're selling me broccoli, you know, and they're telling me it's chocolate.
I get it. And look, they get the mind share because there's more to do on it. I think is part of the problem. I don't think that the mind share comes from the word decentralization. I think the mind share comes from
commercialization
with it, what you can do on the chain, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that's the part of the problem.
Again, I will never argue that there is room for this stuff. I would argue that things that rotate around money, okay, are best positioned using Bitcoin, because I think Bitcoin is simply the best money. And if you're going to do something with money, do something with the best money. Okay. But that doesn't mean that Bitcoin should be used for, I mean, some of the projects Shizzy was looking at and talking about, you know, is in any way useful for those, you know, the things like the, what was it, like the mobile phone stuff, or he mentioned one project.
Hive Mapper?
Yeah, Hive Mapper. Yeah, I mean, that's begging to use a world supercomputer, and Bitcoin is fuck all used to it, yeah?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Right. That's true.
But if you're talking about DeFi or anything to do with money, in my opinion, not building it around Bitcoin is a fundamental flaw, because you build it around the best money.
I agree with that.
That's a powerful argument. Dirk says AVEX is greater than ETH for DeFi. Shizzy says, let's do Bitcoin versus Phantom next. Let's not. Or unless you want to get on here and fucking defend Phantom.
I don't even know what the fuck Phantom is, Shizzy.
It's one of the Ethereum killers. It's an ETH killer.
Said,
you'll like it.
Let's keep it going. And Dirk says, higher chocolate to broccoli ratio for Avalanche. So, but the fact that there's still broccoli in your chocolate is really going to piss you off.
Yeah.
Just a reminder, this is not financial advice. None of us really know what we're talking about, although we act like it.
Hey, I just want to make one statement that I thoroughly enjoyed watching you guys go at it. And I've never really had a chance to look at Brad squirm much, because I'm usually the one on the other end.
He doesn't enjoy us going at it. He enjoys you conquering me is what he enjoys.
Like, just to be clear, like, you know, what I would say as well about, you know, we're more experienced people of the world, i.e. we're fucking old, okay, is that it's, you know, and this is what something I say to anybody when they get into these debates on, you know, any of this stuff, is look, it's perfectly okay to disagree with somebody, yeah? In fact,
absolutely,
it's perfectly natural. It doesn't mean that you have to go batshit crazy or beat people up or get obnoxious. Make your points, agree to disagree. Obviously, at the end of this, Brad is going to go, you know, Sean, you're fucking right. And I get him there via a logical process of thinking. Yeah.
Yeah. Listen. I will tell you. I've told Sean privately that our conversations on the show and our conversations privately have made already a significant mind shift for me of what's possible as it relates to Bitcoin. And it's impossible to argue with, you know, most of what you put out there. I think there are some things that aren't necessarily as solid as you might think they are. And so, but I will tell you, I have no doubt that my state of mind has changed because we are able to have adult conversations about this shit, and we're not flaming each other on fucking Twitter with our beliefs. So I appreciate it and love doing it, man.
Yeah, I do. Look, all I would say to anybody is, I mean, you know, I could be wrong on some of these things. I'm pretty confident on because I've thought about this stuff a lot and been involved in the space a long time. Just think critically, yeah. And it's not always us versus them. Just look at something and think critically about it, and don't go, oh yeah, well that's still better than Chain 5. I mean, that's not the point. The point is that does this thing have merit in its own right? And they all do to some extent. As I said, my challenge with these is, again, the chocolate broccoli argument, but more, what are they being used for? And is there fundamental architecture, design, management through to technology actually suited to that purpose?
Yep.
You know, what do these types of issues, because every chain has issues, and I'm more than happy to go through the issues I see with Bitcoin next week.
Cool. Let's do that.
And do that, yeah.
Absolutely. I'll tell you a quick story.
That'll be a 2-minute show. Obviously.
Speaking of critical thinking, which
nothing.
in the United States, nobody's taught how to do critical thinking. But I'll tell a quick story. My mother was a teacher, and she got approved to add a curriculum to the high school that she taught at, a public high school, and it was an analytical thinking for children curriculum. Had amazing test results, dramatically improved testing scores for kids across the board, whether gifted, slower, in between, average, whatever. It was amazing. And she was up and running for 2 months with this sanctioned program in the school district. And the evangelical Christians overran the school running the program out because we had too much critical thinking going on at home. So kids were asking too many questions.
Uh-oh. Can't have that.
You can never ask too many questions. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I tell my children. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about or doing.
Yeah, I mean, like.
Hopefully not with algebra.
I was up till 2 a.m. with fucking algebra last night. Let me tell you.
I was asked the other day, could I do long division? And I went, yeah. And then I sat down to do it. I don't think I can anymore, to be honest. Yeah, like,
I'm so pissed at myself that I skated in algebra and trig in high school and didn't really pay fucking attention and just charmed my way through, because right now is when I've actually really fucking need for my kid. Thankfully, my son's paid attention and he's in calculus, and I just started paying him $20 an hour to tutor his sister. So
I mean, it's an interesting thing because, like, when I finished high school, as you'd call it, we weren't allowed to have calculators in the exams. Yeah.
Right.
Okay. When I was doing my college exams, we could have calculators, and now you go, look, can the kids have an AI in exams? And it's a similar type of argument. Yeah. Is that because you almost have to take the view that this is the world they're living in. So why can't they use an AI, Chat GPT or whatever? Google are claiming they have AIs that blow it away. And that's kind of a curious thing. I mean, I do think there's
it's a valid point. I just had this conversation with my kids 2 days ago. I said, look, get on this shit, start looking at it, start understanding it. It's going to be a critical component of your life. And knowing how to interact with it is going to be important, and you'll be ahead of the game. And your point is absolutely valid. It's like, that's the tool they have to use, right? I get we want them to learn the fundamentals of math and science and history and all of that. But I got to tell you, she had to do an essay last night. She told me the topic. She's like plugging away at it. It's only 3 paragraphs it was on Aristotle, plugging away on it for 30 minutes. And I grabbed my wife and said, come here. And I said, went to Chat GPT.
Dude,
and I said,
you shouldn't be saying this publicly for your daughter.
I said, well, I didn't let her turn it in. I didn't give it to her, but I said to my wife, I told Chat GPT, write a speech nominating Aristotle for the Nobel Prize as an 8th grader would. Dude, 2 seconds and it was perfect. Fucking perfect. Anyway, no, I did not give it to her. I was tempted, but I did not. Sean, as always, this was fucking great, dude. I love chatting with you, man. Really, absolutely enjoyed it.
Really enjoyed it. And again, just sharing my honestly held views. I'm not trying to be controversial.
Never doubt that you're honestly telling us your views.
And I'm really looking forward to having a crack at Bitcoin next week.
Yeah, it's going to be great.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be great. Yeah, really. It's going to be a bloodbath.
Yeah.
You're going to turn off.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
Bitcoiner in the audience. That's good.
Maybe we should invite some of those original OGs. Do they have like tablets or phones, Sean? The ones that aren't on Twitter.
They want to know if they can get into Zoom via rotary dial.
Wait, my fax won't hook up. What's wrong?
I'll send them a telex and see what they say.
Son has to go crank the front of their car to get
not,
going.
I'll dispatch a few pigeons and see where
That's
right. There you go. Good.
Dude, great discussion.
Pigeon.
Justin, Shizzy, Dirk, Chuck, Eamon, Robertus, Peter. Did I miss anybody? Chen Hong. Eamon. Did I ever say Eamon? I got Dirk. Thank you all for participating. Love and appreciate you. Thank you for being here. It wouldn't be a show without you guys. Sean, thank you as always. Please take 2 minutes today, boys and girls. I did not see a flood of reviews for us from yesterday, Joe. Did you?
What?
No.
We better get them today. So go smash that thumb.
Smash that thumbs up.
Button.
Go to Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Write us a 20-second review. Post it up there. That'll keep us going, and it'll feed Joe's ego, which is the most important thing we have to feed on this show. And we appreciate and love all of you. Tell your friends and family about it.
I just want to say, I hope everybody really appreciates the passive aggressive tone that Brad uses all the time, because I find it thoroughly entertaining. Man, I'm doing this show with you, dude. It's such a blast.
Absolutely.
And I love John coming on. It's so much fun. And
it's good shit.
I learned, a long time ago in a domestics dispute not to get involved because you're usually the one who gets shot.
Yeah,
so
you're the passive guy sitting in the corner.
I'm sticking my hand in because I don't want to pull back a bloody stump or anything.
What's crazy is these folks don't know that before the show started, we all realized we're about within a year or so of each other. Well, Joe's a little more older than a year, but that's okay.
I'm 39, and you guys are what?
Contemporaries. I'm sorry for you for 39.
I look old for my age. I know. I don't have that Barbara Stanwyck filter on over here, though.
Say goodbye, Joe.
All right, bye. Bye,
See you,
Joe.
Sean. Thanks, buddy.
Bye.